All right, here's a demonstration of my receipt scanner app. I'm opening it up in PowerApps on my phone. I just click Scan Receipt right there, that button, and you can upload a file or you can use the camera. We're going to use the camera here in this demo. And putting the receipt down right now. You don't have to worry about getting it just perfect. It's actually really good at reading it, whatever the condition is. Hit OK if it's acceptable. You don't want it to be too blurry, of course. Give it some time to analyze. I am out in the middle of the country right now on just my data off my phone, so it's a little slower than it would be if you were in town on a solid internet connection or a 5G device or something. Now, if you notice here, it did not grab the line item name there, the honey bear. It didn't grab that or the price of that line item for the honey bear, the $3.99. That is okay. You can try redoing it, but we've got a way we can edit that information on one of the next screens. And so you hit submit when you're done, when you're ready to go on to the next screen where you get to review and edit any of the information that it has pulled out of the receipt. So here we are reviewing the details of the receipt itself. So we've got the merchant name and address, etc., the transaction date and time, the total, the tax. If you notice, it didn't pull in a subtotal. So we can edit that right here. You can click on the image in the upper left to pull up a bigger image of the receipt and double check. Of course, you probably got the receipt right there in your hand unless you're using the image upload file image option. So you can go down there and type in the subtotal that it missed. So here's your chance to correct anything. If there's any spelling errors or anything's off, or if it just missed something, you can type it in right here. When you are ready, hit update. Now it has updated that information in the system, and the backend is a SharePoint list. Now here on this screen, normally there's a list, a gallery of line items that were on your receipt. However, we didn't scan any. So what we do is we can add a row. So you can always add more rows, and all you do is just type in a number up there for how many you want to add, then hit add items. So I just added one there, and now we're taking a peek at our receipt again. We know it's called Honey Bear. We're typing in Honey Bear. The price, I believe, was $3.99 for the Honey Bear. Double check right here, $3.99. Type in $3.99, quantity 1, and the total will be $3.99. So we just get that typed in. Fat fingers makes it difficult. And when we're ready, we hit update. So here we are reviewing everything we've done. So we've got a table of line items at the top. We've got our receipt details at the bottom. So we can review everything here. If we needed to go back and edit, we can do that. We can hit the back arrow and go edit some more. If we like everything that we see, we can exit out of the app, or we could hit the home button to scan the next one. All right, let's scan another receipt. So pull up our camera, put our other receipt down, and just snap a picture of it. There we go, hit OK. Give it some time to load. And if we notice here, it has, fortunately this time, it has picked up all those line items and the prices of the line items. Unfortunately, it missed the date, if you notice right there. I don't know what it is, but this particular store, their receipts, it just won't pick up the date on these receipts. I'm not sure why that is, but fortunately, we've got the edit screen on the next screen, and we can just go ahead and edit that real easily. All right, here's our edit screen reviewing the receipt details. We can add in that receipt transaction date, 11/13/2020. We can also notice here it didn't pick up the tax. It's not labeled as tax on the receipt. That might be part of the problem, but it's 16 cents right there. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Hit update. And now we've got our gallery of all the line items that came through. Now, if you notice, it doesn't always, it depends on how it's formatted. Also, you can do this little delete thing. You can bulk delete these if you need to for some reason. If for some reason it scans something that you didn't want, or if you accidentally add too many blanks that you need to fill out, you can slide them over to delete and then hit update, and it'll bulk delete those, each one that's labeled delete. But if you notice here, we got the total price for each one, but we didn't get the item price and the quantity. That might show up depending on how the cashier rings it up. If you notice here, I got 3 of the same candy bars that were 39 cents a piece, but she just rang them each up separate. So if she rang them up in bulk, that it might have picked that up off the receipt, but she didn't. But we can actually, if we wanted to, we could just go ahead and delete the bottom 2, and we could just do it ourselves. And in fact, we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to go up here and we're going to edit the first one, and we'll tell it to delete the last 2. So we'll just slide it over to delete on both of those. And then we will go up here on this one, and we're going to change the quantity to 3, and we'll have to change the total price. Right now, I don't have this total price. I don't have it dynamically calculated off of the item price and the quantity. However, that could be an easy update to do. So just type in 117 here. That will be the total of 3 of those. And when we're done, we can hit update, and it will bulk update these, and you'll just kind of see the deletes drop off. Everything will kind of refresh, and then it'll delete them. All right, and here we are at our review page, and you see we've got a little more of a table up there showing our line items. And if we had a bunch of them, if we'd had 20 or 50 or something, you would be able to scroll through them up there, but like you scroll down here at the bottom under the receipt details, it would have that same scroll bar would show up if you had extras, if you had more than can fit up there. So here you can just review again, and when you're ready, you can hit home and scan another one, or you could hit X and X out. You've also got this, another thing I forgot to mention, you can rotate this image. So you can hit that refresh icon and it'll rotate it. All right, and when we're done looking at this, we can go on and, another thing, you can upload a file. Let's go ahead and upload a file. And let's go ahead and upload a receipt from a file. So we'll just pick this McDonald's receipt. So this time we're not using the camera, we're just going to upload from a file. It works exactly the same. And if you notice this, it's really amazing. This receipt, you can barely, with a human eye, can barely read that it says McDonald's restaurant. But if we zoom in there, you can see, we'll zoom in on the next page and you'll be able to see like how there's basically nothing written there. It's very faded, but it picked it up anyway. Look at that, McDonald's restaurant. It didn't even really make a spelling error. I guess it could have capitalized the D. Another thing I noticed, it did not pick up the extra espresso shot, but we'll be able to edit that ourselves again. So if there's nothing to update, you can just hit the next arrow. And here we are on our line items, and we're going to add one line item to add in that extra espresso shot if you needed to bulk add line items. Oh, another thing, it made it $320. We need to put a decimal in there. But if you need to bulk add, like if it didn't scan any of your line items and there were like 10 of them or something, you could type in 10 or 13. In this case, we just need to do 1, so we're going to type in 1 and hit add items, and that blank one will show up, and we'll just type in extra espresso shot, $1, quantity 1, total of $1. And when we're done, we hit update. And here we are. So now let's go ahead and exit out of the app, and we'll go take a look at this in SharePoint on the back end. Okay, so here I am in the SharePoint list. So we're in a SharePoint site called Receipts, and we've got 2 lists. We've got a receipts list and we got a receipt purchased items list. So here on a receipts list is where the general information for each receipt comes in. We've got the title here. It's just kind of composed from the date and the name of the store and the total. We've got a merchant address, merchant name, merchant phone number. Here we've got the subtotal, we've got the tax, got the tip, and we got the total. Transaction date, transaction time, store number. Here's a real cool part. Actually, this is also the hardest part, was getting the image to show up here in the list. It's real easy to store the image somewhere, but it's not so easy to get it to show up in the SharePoint list. So that took some troubleshooting, but we got it to work. And it's really cool. So you can just click on your image and pop it open right there to double check if you need to review and do any correction here on the back end. Let's go over to purchased items. And here is it's every single thing that you purchase. And, you can kind of tell which ones you could filter by what receipt you wanted to look at. So the receipt, each receipt over here gets a little ID, and this ID links it to it. There's also a link here to the receipt list item, so you can just click on it to pull up that particular receipt if you need to, and you can just kind of review the data. And again, you've got the picture right there. So that is just an overview of how this works. It's a pretty cool capability that you have with PowerApps. It requires PowerApps, and it requires Power Automate to process the information, and SharePoint to store it. You could also send it to a SQL server or any other kind of database that you had in mind. You could do some custom things and send the data off wherever you wanted it to be stored. Another thing you could do is you could be useful in a business if you're doing expense reporting. You could have an approval be sent to an accountant or whoever's approving expense reports. So all the receipts come through, and an approval is sent to the accountant, and then if it's approved, you could have other automations go into place to pay the employee, or you could also get an email notification sent to whoever wanted it, and you could have the image, you could have the receipt image in the email with the details pulled out of it in a friendly little way, and you could have the spreadsheets emailed, copies of the Excel spreadsheets emailed to whoever wanted it, or the data plugged in wherever they wanted it, like say a live Excel spreadsheet or something like that. So it's really cool. It's a really cool capability that you have with PowerApps and Microsoft Office 365. Thanks for watching.